familiar with Proctor Road, right?
I am.
As you said on Direct, you go there all the time. But you actually used to work at Proctor Road, right?
Yeah, I used to, just not anymore.
So now when you go back to the park, you're pretty friendly with the employees that work there.
Yeah, everyone knows me around the park.
That's how you got to know Miss Bowman.
Yeah, she was always really nice.
Now, whenever you're at the park, Miss Bowman gives you the VIP treatment, doesn't she?
Yeah, I mean, I give her my VIP dollars. I expect nothing less.
Well, in fact, one time, Miss Bowman even let you into the ride operator's booth for one of the rides, didn't she?
Yeah, she let me peer in, see how it worked.
Well, she showed you how she operates the rides, right?
Yes,
She showed you the control panel.
yes,
She showed you the start and stop button.
yes.
She showed you the on and off switch.
Yes, that was all in there.
And she showed you how to run the ride in blackout mode, didn't she?
I mean, I didn't actually do it, but she showed me how it all worked, yes.
Now, on August 30th, you were at Proctor Road, right?
I was.
And at just about 8 p.m., you got in, you were just getting into the Tunnel of Terror ride, correct?
I did, yeah.
Now, just as you were getting into that ride, you heard a gunshot, didn't you?
Yeah, it was pretty loud, hard to miss.
So after you heard the gunshot, the ride started moving, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you worked at the park, it wasn't a park policy that if there was a disturbance at the park, all rides go into emergency protocol?
Objection, Your Honor, to hearsay.
Your Honor, this is not hearsay. I'm asking the witness to testify to what the practices were at the park when she worked there.
Question, counsel, what statement are you objecting to?
Yes, Your Honor. He said, wasn't it policy for this ride to go into emergency protocol? That particular policy is contained in a handbook that the employees are given. So that is a statement from that handbook that he's offering here in court for the truth of the matter asserted, and it would be hearsay.
Counsel?
Your Honor, I'm simply asking the witness into the practices at the park, what she did routinely when she worked at Proctor Road.
Counsel?
Your Honor, he's referring to a specific policy, and not what she did, not even what she was trained on, but a very specific policy from a very specific manual. And that's an out-of-court statement.
Counsel, are you offering this to show the actual, what was in the handbook and what the written policy was, or are you asking what the general practice of the park was?
The general practice of the park, Your Honor.
Counsel, do you have any problem with the general practice of the park?
So long as it's kept to the general practice and her knowledge, then no. But if he's referencing a specific statement in a very specific document, then I would have a problem, Your Honor.
Okay, on those grounds, we're going to overrule the objection, and I'll make sure to instruct the jury that we're to consider this as a general practice rather than the statement from the employee handbook.
Yes, sir.
You may proceed.
To your knowledge, Ms. Hartman, when there's a disturbance at the park, rides go into emergency protocol.
Well, that's what's supposed to happen, but I was a gopher, so I didn't really work on rides about what happened in emergency protocol. I just was a gopher.
Well, when rides go into emergency protocol, all of the lights come on,
They should.
and the ride stops, doesn't it?
It should.
But on August 30th, the ride just kept moving through the tunnel, didn't it?
It did. It was pretty alarming.
And when you were going through the tunnel, you saw Cameron Poole and the park security guard, Winnie Thomas, run into the Tunnel of Terror, correct?
It was dark, but I did see that. Yeah.
Cameron Poole was running towards the emergency exit, wasn't he?
Cameron Poole was, yeah.
And that's when all of the lights on the ride went off, correct?
Yes, they did.
But the ride kept moving.
It was.
You saw Cameron Poole exit the ride through the emergency exit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone could catch him. He was just zipping right out of that door.
And Winnie Thomas was struck by your ride's car, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He was slammed against the wall.
I mean, it was hard to see in there, but I do know he was injured and he was hurt.
Now, on direct examination, you talked about a time when you saw Cameron Poole and the defendant come into the employee locker room. Now, when you saw that, you heard a number of statements between Cameron Poole and the defendant, right?
Yes, there was talking going on, yes.
You heard the defendant tell Cameron Poole, Floyd must have tipped off Longstreet, correct?
I did hear that.
You heard the defendant tell Cameron Poole not to worry, I have a plan, correct?
Well, no, he said he had an insurance policy.
Well, the defendant told Cameron Poole not to worry, yes or no?
He did say
And then the defendant told Cameron Poole, I have a little insurance policy, right?
that. Yes, that's what he said.
That's when the defendant was tapping his pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in his pocket was that knife with the blue handle, wasn't it?
Well, I know I saw a blue handle, but It could have been one of those multi-tools with a bottle opener that people had at the gift shop, so.
Well, it looked like a multi-tool knife that you had seen the defendant with before, correct?
Yes, it did, one of those multi-tools, yeah.
And after the defendant patted his pocket, she took out that knife and she placed it in an employee locker, correct?
Well, I'm not 100% sure where it was placed. It was a really small slit, but I do know that they left right after, but
You believe that the defendant placed that knife in an employee locker, yes or no?
it looked like it at the time.
And the defendant told Cameron Poole, you know where it is if you need it, correct?
Yes, that was what they said.
No further questions.
Is there a redirect examination?
No redirect, Your Honor. We ask that Ms. Hartman be excused.
Ms. Hartman, thank you for your service. You